Hey there. So this video is going to be a little bit different. I want my entire channel to be that which glorifies God and helps us to become a people that have gone from broken and wounded to healing and free, because it's super important to do that. And I'm going to address some subjects that maybe are not the easiest to hear about, but we need to be a people who are founded in truth, because the truth will set you free. So in that, I have several relationships that were super pivotal in me obtaining freedom. Freedom not only from bondage of what my ex-husband was doing, but bondage that this life put on me. There was rejection, there was self-hatred, there were things within me that kept me bound. And God used people to help set me free. And so the relationships that we have in our life are going to be super pivotal to whether we walk in freedom or whether we are bound. So we need to understand that, and we need to be a people who take responsibility for what we permit in our lives. So we can't just focus on what people have done to us. We need to focus on, okay, how do we respond? How do we look at things differently, our perception, right? So how are we going to perceive these things, and how are we going to process these things, and how are we going to move forward into healing from all these things, right? So you don't get to dictate what people do or how they treat you. You can give them your boundaries. You can say, this is where I'm at in my life, and this is how I'm requiring you to treat me. But then ultimately, they get to make the decision how they are choosing to treat you. And at what point you have one of two options. You can either stay in that situation, leave the sheet over it, pretend let's not even address it anymore. Or you can change your perspective and go, okay, that's not suitable for me. That's not going to help me it's not going to be a conducive environment to my healing and to my becoming whole. Right? So we have to look at facts. That's a fact. We have options. So even as a victim, right? I don't like the term victim, because this is a story of victory, not a story of being a victim. And so these are facts. So anywho, so I came out of a marriage where I was married to a narcissist. We were in that relationship for 14 years, and if I asked for something, he would do the opposite as a way to hurt me. And it was pretty daily. It was just what it was. If he couldn't control me and he couldn't break me entirely, he was going to wound me. And it was very, very intentional. Okay. And so I determined the last time he wounded me intentionally, I said, if I do not see that a person loves me like I love them, I am not going to give them the power to hurt me. I'm not going to be so invested that they can hurt me. And so I had just made that predetermination. I built up these walls, even, people I love. Today, these walls I have up do not allow them to get through to hurt me in that way. And so anyway, so I went through something recently where when God revealed to me the correlation between my ex-husband and this guy I had dated, I was left speechless, because I thought, wow, I fell for that again, right? I fell for another person who is a narcissist. And I just remember thinking, how did I let that happen, right? Let's get to the root of the situation so that it can be uprooted, because I'm never going to fall for it again. So anyway, I had a situation to where me and the guy I had been dating were no longer in communication. And one day he reaches out to me. Hey, I was just wondering about you, blah, 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 blah. We're texting. Immediately after that day, he just ghosts me. I text something and he immediately ghosts me. And so it was really, really interesting. And so I began to pray, God, what is it? Show me what it is about this guy. And the way God set me free, I wish I could have showed you, like if I had videos in my house, I would have put them on this video so you could have saw me dancing around my house, because I thought, I have not been this free since, gosh, in years. I have not been this free. And so with John, who let's say is the guy I'm dating, I did change some names because I'm not here to, expose or hurt anybody. But this is a channel for healing and for growth. Okay. So with John, he would engage me and then pull back as a means of punishment. Okay, if you're not going to do what I'm saying, then I'm going to hurt you. And I'm thinking, that's great knowledge. So when God gives me this correlation between him and my ex-husband, it gives me this freedom of, I begin to process the entire relationship with John differently. From the time we go to a golf course and I fall head over heels to that particular day, I looked at it like, if this is a narcissist, none of that relationship was real. It was all a figment of imagination, because narcissists are not real. They put on a mask and they perpetrate and give this facade, right, of something they're not. And I'm thinking, that's really sad, but really mind-blowing. And it left me kind of speechless, because now I'm thinking, now everything I know about this person makes sense. Everything that didn't make sense before now makes sense. And all the little facts, things I've never said to anybody, including John, are like piling up. And I am dancing around my kitchen thinking, that is freedom. That is freedom of having a proper perspective. But then I had to go, I have to change pieces of my book, and I have to change pieces of this video. And that was a little interesting for me. But I go to church and I talk to my pastor, and then afterwards I go see my sister and her husband, and the kids are all hanging out. And my sister and her husband, they give me some guidance. And then I'm talking to my best friend, Chris, and I'm explaining the situation to Chris. And Chris goes, Angelina, let's be honest. This was your fault. You allowed him to walk to the door. You didn't have to open it. He knocked. You didn't have to open that door. You could have ignored the knock, but you didn't. He was like, your block should be so hot right now. And I'm thinking, that's true. It's true. It was me. I did it. And so as we get deeper and deeper into this conversation, he's bringing scripture, and at the end of this conversation, we come to this conclusion that because of my past, I'm much more comfortable dealing with people who I already know are controlling than I am dealing with people who are not, because I've never known what it's like to have somebody sincerely care about me. So even though I don't like their behaviors, right, I permit that behavior because it's normal or comfortable for me. And that was mind-blowing. And so it got me to thinking that oftentimes as abuse victims, we are so used to being verbally, emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically abused, that when people do it because of the people they are, or because of the respect we have for them, the place we've placed them, or the emotions we have sincerely in us, we allow people to do and say things that wound us. And as I'm going through that, I thought, what if we were a people that looked in the mirror and said, instead of allowing God to pull the sheet off somebody, expose them, and us to go, oh, but this is comfortable. This is a person I'm comfortable with, and I don't know what's out there, right? I don't know what's beyond So I'm just going to stay with the comfort. What if we chose not to do that and we don't re-put that sheet over that exposed area and we go, how can we let God change our perspective, change our minds, change us? Because it's super pivotal that we allow God to change us, that we allow him to change our negative, attributes, that we allow him to change the way we handle things that we shouldn't. There are things in our lives that just should not be there. And I think about that, and I'm doing this study this morning, and I'm looking at things, and I'm so grateful that God allowed me to learn everything he's allowed me to learn, because I get to share that with you. But at what point are you going to look in the mirror and say, the abuse doesn't have to happen? Your voice, you shouldn't be afraid to talk. And that's something I was afraid to have an opinion with my ex-husband. I was afraid to voice that opinion, to be heard, right? Because, I didn't feel comfortable in doing that. It would become a toxic cycle for me. So me being quiet was the only way to make it work. But again, that abuse trickled down to the children, because people who are narcissistic cannot love anybody. They may want to, but they can't. It's sad. Do I believe a narcissist can get delivered? I believe God can deliver anybody and do anything he wants to do, because he's God and God alone. And I'm going to be praying, for John, just like I pray for my ex-husband. But knowing what I know about him now, it makes me sad, but it's a deal breaker. And I'm encouraging everybody to get to that stage that's like, this is a deal breaker. Whatever your deal breaker is, hold your line, because you're valuable and you're worth it and you're amazing. And if you're watching these videos, it's because you want to heal. And so I'm encouraging you, do not allow people just to treat you anyway. Don't allow it. Your voice is valuable. You can change this world. You can change this world. You can help people because you matter. And I think oftentimes you feel like you don't matter because there is no respect for what you have to say. But if you're in the right circle, there will be respect for what you have to say. People will want to hear what you have to say. And that's hard, to be in a place where you're not valued. So I encourage you, surround yourself with people that will cherish and value and love you and encourage you, because that's super duper vital. Have a good day, guys. I hope this video helps you. Take care.